This is a very special episode to me. When I started this podcast, I knew I had to get this specific person on. He is the host of Just Saying It on Sports Map National Radio. He's an NFL and college football writer for Sports Illustrated. He interned with me at Sirius XM Radio way back when. My very good friend is here to catch up with and also just get a little insight on how he got to where he is right now. Everybody, welcome to Cole Thompson to the podcast. Cole, like I said, so happy to see you, my friend. How are you?
God, you grow out a very nice beard. I remember when I first met you, you were not able to have that pretty a facial. Hold up Indianapolis in the combine. Yeah, but the 20-50-year-old
For the whole
changes. Explain that to me. I'm sorry. Listen, the dude is funny as all hell, but
college. He wants in New Jersey, no matter if you're famous or not, and it just works from that theory alone.
I honestly will say, like, one of the first, so my girlfriend right now, I remember when I wanted to ask her out on, when I first met her, I did it through Bumble, and I thought that she was so pretty. And you know how you were able to get like those extra, like you could go swipe one extra time for an extra 24-hour period. I was like, no,
extended match.
I shoot my shot. I was like, no, I really want to meet this girl. This is the one I want. So I used it on her, and I was like, it was like 2 hours remaining in the super swipe, and I'm like, bro, if she says no to me, I'm going to feel really stupid afterwards. Like 2 minutes later, she messages me. And now here I am 2.5 years later.
See, so you do encourage guys, press that extended match if you have the option. You never know what can happen.
Respectfully do it. As long as you're not being like harassy or in a creep kind of way, then by all means, shoot your shot, guys. I mean, let's be real. I honestly think 9 times out of 10, girls want you to still be able to talk to them. They're just so timid about themselves and something that they've also heard, and you know how pop culture is with them, and how beauty image is like a certain thing. They definitely think a certain ways. So like, I honestly feel like 9 times out of 10, they want you to go talk to them. Just don't be afraid. And I can tell you, as somebody who is very much afraid of talking to women and was for years and years and years, I honestly think that Pete Davidson's probably that dude. It's like, what's the worst they're going to say? I look like an anemic rag doll? Okay, I've heard worse on SNL. I think I'm okay.
Yeah, I think you said it on the head. It's all about being respectful and not doing the unsolicited stuff, not trying to do another pickup line, because lots of pretty girls have been flirted with and said something. Just do something to stick out and just show some interest and, have some good body posture and eye contact too. I'm sure you agree, Cole.
Oh, just don't go in there. Hey, what's up? How you doing? Can I buy you a drink? Yeah, sure. Okay. Angel shot, please. Let's go. Thank you. Let's do it like that. No, I'm not a creep. No, I'm not a creep. I'm just here to say hello. Like, no, just hi, how you doing? I'm cool with it. Can I buy you a drink or something like that? And 9 times out of 10, they'll probably say yes. And then afterwards, just be your normal self. And you know what? If they don't like you for you, they weren't meant to be with you anyways. So there's always the best way to look at it.
Absolutely, dude. So believe in yourself, people. It's not so hard as we like to make it up to be. And
it's very hard. It's extremely hard. The way that the world is today, especially social media, God, I feel like 9 times out of 10, people want you to fail more than they ever want you to succeed. Everybody wants you to fail. Your mother wants you to fail. Your father wants you to fail. The guy who works at Amazon and listens to a podcast is like, I hope he says something really stupid today. And it's all like, and then they're just halfway to it again, like, where does he mess up?
Yep.
Guy in popcorn.
Like what could happen with the girl, the photographer who broke her spine in front of Matt Stafford and his wife, and then someone took the time, let me figure out how to cancel her. She's already gone through enough stuff, right? But yeah, these internet trolls, really, it's their passion to ruin people's lives.
I'm not going to lie. I think my favorite one of all time was when Kyler Murray won the Heisman. And as soon as he won the Heisman, they posted 3 tweets of him using derogatory language. I won't say it on
here.
They use it. And so my first thought was, no. You knew he was going to win it. You did all this digging a week before. You had that pinned up right then and there for when it broke. And as soon as he got to the highest point, let's take it down a couple notches. Retweet. And then there we go. And it went boom.
Put the quote tweet. They're supporting a racist. I think that happened to Josh Allen too, that the people were picking up some of that.
As soon as Josh Allen got drafted, it was literally one of the very first questions he got asked in the interview process afterwards, because if it broke when he was walking onto the stage. They pulled up like 3 derogatory tweets of it. And I was like, no, what you do is you went back and fought. You waited for this moment to have his highest, to have the highest point of his life. And they were like, let's go ahead and bring it back down a couple notches.
It only took him a solid 4 years to get back in the groove. But now look at him. He's can't have any more momentum going into next season with his team.
No, but what I will say is, and this is probably my proudest moment that I've ever had working in this industry. I was texting a buddy of mine, and bigger scout works for a team, and he asked me, who's the quarterback that you really like this year? And I said Josh Allen. I think that Josh Allen's going to be the best quarterback in this class. And all you got to do is get him in the right system, get him to the right quarterback, get him to the right QB's coach, and he is going to work. And after the first year, I got a text message from somebody going, LOL, love your take on Josh Allen. And now 3 years later, I'm like, what's up, guys?
Yeah.
Now we do.
That scout on freezing cold takes with that one. That's what I'm talking about.
Honestly, I really wish freezing cold takes would have been able to been like, yep, I'm gonna retweet this now for later, and then be like, I owe Mr. Thompson an apology. Everyone should go follow him on Twitter at Mr. Cole Thompson, because of, let's be real, he was right, I was stupid, and we all know that I was right. So
try me, bitch.
That honestly still was my proudest moment. It is like, after going into the draft, I said, you got to sit him, or you got to get him in the right system. But if you give him a few years and he gets with the right quarterbacks coach, the talent is beyond recognizable. Like hands down, he is going to be the best of the bunch. And lo and behold, I mean, if you asked me to take him or Lamar Jackson, I still would take Josh. Just because the arm strength. I mean, don't get me wrong. I love Lamar, but just arm strength alone, I would take Josh Allen.
This dude's a literal tank at 6'5", and he is a literal train when he's mobile. And I mean, the way he is out is just an example of fate. I don't know, it landed on heads and never got that chance to advance to the championship game.
I mean, the NFL is not wrong. I mean, I get it, because of, the defense needs to make that stop with 13
of course.
seconds. That's you. But the fact of the matter is that Josh Allen walks off the field after throwing a game-winning touchdown with 13 seconds left and does not take the field and loses.
Yeah.
Try explaining that to somebody. Try explaining the greatest loss of all time to a person and call it that. Oh, yeah, he lost the football game. Like the L is next to his name on his all-time wins and loss record. No. And that, dude, that's actually one of the things that really bothers me when it comes to breaking down. When I'm talking football with people, it's everyone goes, wins and losses are a quarterback stat. I'm like, exhibit A, Josh Allen divisional round. You go out and tell me that he lost that football game? I politely disagree. I'm blaming the defense on that one. How dare you play in a zone coverage against Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill with 13 seconds left? How dare you, Leslie Frazier, do that to Josh Allen?
Yeah.
That's the way I look at it.
It was a little handicap match in that sense. It was just those three versus that secondary, and we saw what happened. And I mean, just the Buffalo Bills fan base, that Bills Mafia, throughout the years and years, when they finally think they got something. I mean, geez. And I remember, Cole, I was just quickly looking at the odds. It was plus 1,600 if you wanted to do an in-game bet with that last 13 seconds. And, I was joking when I was with my two buddies. What if we just threw $100 here? Bam, $1,600 could have gone my way if I was feeling courageous.
Dude, I would have done $10. I still would have been happy with 160 walking out. I mean, that's the way that I look at it. It's dear God. What's crazy is that I feel to me, that might be the worst feeling in Buffalo Bills history. Because of
it has to be.
Because I get losing 4 straight Super Bowls. I totally understand that. But you only really were supposed to win 1 of those 4. So
should beat the Giants, my Giants, Scott Norwood, wide right.
I mean, they were supposed to be the Giants. That was one that they should have won. But you were going to go to the Super Bowl. I think you would have beaten Joe Burrow in Cincinnati. And I think you would have beaten Sean McVay. So you would have won the Super Bowl if Josh Allen doesn't have to exit the field or calls tails. That to me is I don't know how much worse luck you get than that. Like that to me is like hands down the absolute worst luck I've ever seen in my life.
Yeah.
For any franchise.
You just can't. Some franchises are still cursed to this day. Some franchises, as you know, takes literally 100 years, like the Cubs, to break it. But sometimes the ball doesn't roll your way sometimes, and it has been for the Bills Mafia for a long time, and still waiting for that first championship.
I mean, it's that, or you go bang bang, and then hopefully you hit a can out of the park. So no, I'll be quiet about that one.
Anyway, to be relieved. So focusing on that too, Cole. As you mentioned, you were at the Combine. You were in Indianapolis this past weekend. May I ask you, what did you think of the talent coming into it? Was there anyone who really caught your eye? Do you see a solid draft class coming into this, whether on both sides of the ball or what? What did you think of the talent in Indy this past weekend?
I think everyone's trying to find like that next Trevor Lawrence, John Elway type quarterback, and there's just not that in the class, and there's not probably, in my opinion, a Jamar Chase or something like that, but that doesn't mean it's not a good class. Like, yeah, I feel like everybody is looking for like just the next big time superstar that's already there, and that's not always the case. I mean, the reality is that when you kind of look at some of the players that we talk about as major superstars, I mean, Aaron Donald was great, but he wasn't the number one pick. He was 14. Patrick Mahomes was number 10. And even though a lot of people thought that he was one of the most talented players in the class, I mean, he was far from NFL ready year one. It came down to coaching. I mean, TJ Watt just won. Yeah, who just won, but TJ Watt just won Defensive Player of the Year. He was one of the last picks of the first round in 2017. So it's like everyone's looking for the next TJ Watt and the next Aaron Donald and the next, and the
Cooper
next
Kupp too, and he played in the FCS.
And it's like you got to remember that these guys, when they were coming in, they weren't the top of their class. So it's like, don't give up on that just yet, because if you don't have one of those guys already ready to be at that level, because there's a lot of good talent. I mean, Kayvon Thibodeau is phenomenal. And if he's saying that, like scouts are saying, oh, he doesn't love the game. Well, he sure fooled us when he was running a 4.56, 4.65 or whatever the hell he was 40 time and posting a 38-inch vertical. I mean, like, that ain't lazy. That's freaking impressive. 27 reps on the bench. I mean, Aiden Hutchinson, to me, is going to be at worst a solid number 2 pass rusher in the NFL. I mean, I know people are saying like he could be better than Max Crosby, and it's like, yeah, sure, but Max Crosby was a 4th round pick. I mean, like, it's all about coaching and how you're, what system you go to and where you land and all that. But there's a lot of good talent in here. You just got to remember that probably none of these guys are going to be day one like Trevor Lawrence type guys. But if you're okay with that, then there's a lot of good talent. And, what's funny is I know, like, because you're a Giants fan, there's some good depth at wide receiver and at cornerback and at edge rusher, which are areas where you probably need to upgrade. Absolutely. Where I would not feel like you need to rush. Like, you don't need to reach to go get those guys. There's a lot of good names you could go get on day 2 or in round 2 or in round 3 that could definitely be immediate contributors to a defense for Joe Shane and for Brian Dable. And then on the flip side, there's guys who just, if they go to the right system, they're going to immediately flourish. Like, that to me is the most important part. Is everyone's always going to go, well, what do you think about this guy going here? Well, does he fit what they want to run? Are they primarily a run-based defense? Okay, well, he's really good in coverage. You don't want him playing in the line of scrimmage. You want him playing in space. That, like, little things like that go a very long way when it comes to establishing and stabilizing a roster. So those are things that I look at. I personally believe that there's going to be some really good names here. I like Kayvon Thibodeau. I like George Karlaftis. I like Sauce Gardner. I mean, a New York Giants jersey would be freaking amazing. I don't see how they're not considering him. I don't see how the Jets aren't considering him. There's some really good receivers in this year's class. I mean, I personally think of this as a very good class. It's just no one is that top tier level like we've seen in the last few years. And also like that's kind of another thing. Like we're so, I think that like football fans are just like so selfishly greedy of like, well, there's no Trevor Lawrence in this class, so they must suck. No, they're just not Trevor Lawrence. And again, Did you watch Trevor Lawrence last year? I mean, I would not be speaking positive about him until he really shows up in Doug Peterson's offense. I mean, like there's a lot that he's got to work on before we go back and say, oh, Trevor Lawrence, best quarterback prospect of all time. Like there's a lot he's got to work on in that aspect. So it's like
some crazy fluke wins he got this season, and he did beat the Bengals. But like you said, it's a whole new system coming into this for the Jaguars.
It's like little things like that. Like I think that people are just so selfishly like, I don't see this guy. This guy's not compared to that guy. That means he sucks. No, it just means it's a different skill set. Like, and that's the thing that like you got to kind of understand from people is I don't think anybody's going to say that this year's class is weak. It's just there's not that name like there was in the few draft classes before. There's not a Nick Bosa that's going to immediately be a 10 sack guy for his defense. There's not a Trevor Lawrence, but that doesn't mean that there's not good talent. It just means that there's not an elite prospect who potentially goes to the right team is going to immediately flourish and become an all-pro. And again, that sometimes happens and sometimes it doesn't. And that's just like, it's kind of a fucking crapshoot. I mean, if you really want the answer, it's a fucking crapshoot. Like go ahead and shoot in the barrel. Oh, Jamar Chase. Yeah, go to the Bengals. Yeah, he's going to be the rookie of the year. Like, oh, Jamar Chase goes to the Lions. 500 receiving yards. Like that's a real thing that happens all the time. Is like, if a player goes to a certain team, they would be successful, and then swap them and put them on a bad team. I don't know if their numbers would be that great.
Yeah, and we can argue that this makes this upcoming draft even more compelling because we don't know where these special breakout stars are coming from. You know, for me, the Giants, we have 2 picks in the top 10. So as long as we, as we said, really need help on that line, that's just been a problem literally for now 8 years, arguably. And then we have, yes, we do need some more solid weapons. And as the front office of the Giants said, that they screwed Daniel Jones over. So we're probably going to have to wait it out and have some more patience. And maybe he can find that number 1 receiver. Wasn't Golden Tate, not Sterling Shepard. Kadarius Toney, maybe that guy if he could stay on the field. But
he's interesting. I mean, and you got Brian Dable, like a guy who actually understands offensive concepts and how to utilize him in the slot. I mean, like that to me is like really, really interesting to see how they're going to utilize him next year. Like, that's actually one thing I was really excited about when I heard that Brian Dable was going to be the head coach. I was like, if he does not work with Jalen Waddle, I want to see what he does with Kadarius Toney. And lo and behold, here we go. Yeah, but dude, offensive line, bro. I mean, like don't get me wrong. I'm not a believer in Danny Dimes by any means whatsoever, and he's given me no reason to. But his line's giving him no reason to have hope. I mean, like, let's be real. Hey, you don't want to fumble today? What do you think, offensive line? Yeah, I bet the over. Let's use Calvin Ridley reference. Yeah, I bet the over under on you having 3 fumbles. I got to get the over on this one. So yeah, go on through, JJ. Come on, go get him in the backfield. He's waiting for you.
And his 2 neck injuries, for sure. And his 2 neck injuries are the result of bad offensive lines. And you know, it's. I'm at this point. We have no choice but to root for it. Oh, I mean, of course, we don't have to, but I'm somebody who's at the no choice. But let's go Danny Dimes one more season. If he gives up, then well, where else can we go from here, Cole? We've been a laughing stock, an embarrassment, and trying to patiently wait till things turn around. And if this guy and Brian Dable, who can help develop Josh Allen into a legitimate quarterback in this league, maybe this could be the final chance for Daniel Jones to show whatever potential this team sees in him. But look, it should be fun.
I'm not going to give up on him whatsoever. My biggest point is that you have to decide if you're Joe Shane by midseason, what are you going to do next year? Is there enough to where maybe you franchise tag? Because they're not going to pick up his 5th-year option from what I've been told. And from everyone that I've heard, he's going to be a free agent at the end of 2022. So you're either going to have to franchise tag him and hope that what you saw was enough in 2022 to make him come around in 2023 to where he can be the franchise starter, or you have to start fresh. But you have to know by midseason. And at the same time, you have to be willing to go guns to the wall with it. If you're going to go all in on Daniel Jones, and you franchise tag him, you have to go all in. You have to make sure you keep going and building that offensive line and getting him weapons and establishing a run game and doing it that way. Or you have to be all out. You have to go ahead and free it. You got to go ahead and let him walk. You don't want to go ahead and like say, oh, well, we're bringing a competition or something like that. No, you have to be done. Because then you turn yourself into the Carolina Panthers with Sam Darnold. And I think everybody understands that Joe Douglas was 100% right and all of us were 100% wrong on Sam. Like, because that to me is like, Sam got everything upgraded except for maybe the offensive line, which is about the same. And it was absolutely worse. Like receivers were better. Defense was better. Run game was better. And it was worse. Like little things like that. And now they're stuck with him because they're like, you know what? We picked up his 5th-year option. You either got to be all in or all out. And like, that's the key if you are New York, is be all in on Daniel Jones or not. And I think fans right now are just like, all right, it's Sunday. I got my whiskey. Oh, daddy. Like, I feel like that's most fans at this point. Like, just chugging back the Jack Daniels and saying Daniel Jones is going to win the Super Bowl.
That was pretty much the last few weeks for me until DJ got hurt. And, I've just been punished enough. But we also, the other big question is, what are we going to do with Saquon? If we're going to trade him, is there anybody who is going to want to take a chance on him? Can we give him another chance to see if he can overcome these ACL injuries or not? What do you think is the move for Saquon Barkley, Cole?
What are you getting back for him?
Like a fourth-round pick at this point? Like two fourth-rounders?
So at this point, are you okay with that? Are you okay with getting a 4th-round pick and giving up on a guy who, when healthy, behind a good offensive line, is going to be able to make some plays? Like, if you're okay with that, because you're not getting more than a 4th-round pick. You're not. You're getting a guy who's going to be, I think it's like $10.8 million on salary cap space or something like that. Mm-hmm. You're going to get a dude who maybe rebounds behind an offensive line if Joe Shane and Brian Dable. And by the way, if you look at the history of the Buffalo Bills, they spend a lot of draft capital on their trenches. They go ahead and they add offensive linemen and defensive linemen and these type of names in their trenches all the damn time. That's what they do. They go and they build it up that way. So when you do that, if you go build and you feel comfortable with your offensive line, then go ahead and run it back with them one more year. But if you're not, you have to also understand to the franchise that you messed up passing on a quarterback for a running back. And even though he was successful, this is the most value you're going to get. Because again, like the thing is like people say all the time, running backs don't matter. And like, yes, they do, but they're not as valuable as a receiver at this point. They're not as like, and durability concerns. The one thing that you're starting to notice more and more with these running backs in today's NFL, once you get one injury, they just keep piling up. It's not just like a one and done and then, 5 more years of being healthy. No, like Christian McCaffrey gets paid top dollar at like $64 million to become the number 1 paid running back. And he's missed 23 of the last 34 games. Like he's missed more games since getting paid than when he was on his rookie contract. And that's because the injuries kept piling up. He's always injured prone. And like that becomes a concern. And like that's my thing with like Derrick Henry right now is like Derrick Henry is 240 and a tank. And he just came back from an injury. Is he going to become injury prone now to where one of the greatest running backs of this modern era that we've seen is completely ruined at this point? And then you got to go ahead and rebuild because of once running backs get hurt, they find a way to stay injury prone. There's very few who actually rebound from a really bad injury, come back and like are incredible. Like Nick Chubb suffered that really horrendous injury in college, and I did not think he was going to rebound. I thought that his career was completely done. And I've never been more wrong about that. I'm very happy that I haven't been wrong about that because when he was on point at Georgia, I mean, he was phenomenal. And what he's done for the Cleveland Browns is like one of those moments of like, wow, I cannot believe he's doing this. Yeah. But at the same time, if he has another injury like that in the pros, does he respond? Does he recover? Like so those are things you gotta look at. So Saquon, I mean, it was a torn ACL, and then that's a knee injury, and that's an ankle injury, and then it's a leg injury, and then it's a shoulder injury, and then like his Achilles goes. And that's your Achilles, and then you start getting worn down. And this is a running back that has mileage on him. Like this is like that's the other thing. He has mileage on him. So you're not getting a day 1 pick for him. You're not at most you would get, in my opinion, would be a compensatory pick like after the top 100 for him. And those should be the teams that are probably more in contention status that would feel more comfortable probably only wanting to give up a pick on day 3. You wouldn't be going to a team that's like really necessary to go ahead and get it. But I mean, again, I personally would just run it back. What's the harm? If you're going to go ahead and trust that Daniel Jones can be the guy, why not trust if you build the offensive line, Saquon can rebound? Because when healthy, he isn't a bad running back. It's just, when is he healthy at this point?
Yeah. As a fan, Cole, I would respond to say that I would rather have him on the team than to get an undetermined pick that it can go either way. And you checked all the boxes off that when he is on his game, he is a difference maker. He gets big first downs. He knows how to juke anybody out, and he could be hard to break down. Reckon pre-injury still, but I do think he still has that in him. And as a team, again, that we need more patience, and we have gone through thinking that we could contend, and then it falls flat on our face, and then getting to the points where we stop watching and carrying in October. I think it is okay to do this somewhat of a rebuild with these these new available targets, and trying to get ready for the next season upcoming after that. And hopefully we could develop some of our younger guys too. We're going to need a new tight end, as we just released Kyle Rudolph, and I don't expect them to re-sign Evan Ingram. So
the wide receiver.
Yeah. And
I mean the wide receiver, because I love when people call him a tight end, and I'm like, the guy doesn't.
Evan Ingram.
The guy doesn't.
He definitely
block.
drops it. He drops it like that. Yes, exactly. The guy barely blocks, and that's why we got Kyle Rudolph to help with that pass protection. And well, look, he got released. So what the hell? But you're right. We need a lot of help, and at this point, I'm fine waiting for that help. And I guess the last thing before we switch gears regarding football, as we are about to enter free agency, what's going to happen with Russell Wilson? Is Devontae Adams going to get tagged? Obviously, Aaron Rodgers. What is Aaron Rodgers? You heard of him, Cole? You heard of Aaron Rodgers? What is he going to do? To even the point where, if I read this tweet correctly, I even saw the great Pat McAfee say he's being selfish for how long he's taking. I didn't watch the show today, but I was seeing if I read that tweet right. So obviously, all eyes probably in the big elephant in the room with Mr. Aaron Rodgers. Do you still think he has it in him? Do you think he's going to retire? Do you think he's going to go to a Denver, maybe even a Tennessee, a Pittsburgh? Aaron Rodgers, what's going to happen with him, Cole?
Something in my gut tells me he's going to announce he's retiring. Like in my gut, that's what it feels. I don't think he does. I think at this point, he knows what he wants. And again, after everything that Green Bay has done to kind of build around him, and also make it very clear, okay, we're going to hire your old quarterbacks coach, Tom Clements, back. We're going to bring him back on staff. We're going to bring back your buddy, Randall Cobb. Yep. We're going to make the effort to do these little things. It just feels like if Aaron still isn't happy at that point, it says more about Aaron than it does about the organization. Right. And I guarantee you, there's a lot of people in the NFL today who are looking at Aaron Rodgers and going, if you feel like the team is disturbing you because of like certain things, I really want to know what the hell you think is not disservice, because if I would love to be 39-10 in the last 3 years as a quarterback and back-to-back MVPs and still feel like the organization I work for is treating me like I'm a piece of garbage. Like that to me is like the biggest flex of all. And I'm like, I love like the animosity of Aaron Rodgers, like I do. And I love that he's now playing the villain role, which he's phenomenal at. I think it's
he's a great
comical. But at the same time, to me, it feels like it's either Green Bay or he's retiring. I feel like that with everything that Green Bay has done and with everything that Green Bay wants to be, like everything that Green Bay is hoping for and putting it out there, that they will make him the highest paid quarterback of all time, and that they will make sure that he is taken care of, and they will make sure that they continuously are giving everything to him and building around him after 2 MVP seasons. And he says, I'm done in Green Bay. I don't think it's I'm done in Green Bay and going to keep playing. It's I'm done. Like, I'm just completely done. I'm content. I'm a first ballot Hall of Famer. I won a Lombardi trophy. I'm one away from tying the all-time record in MVPs. I'm one of the most decorated quarterbacks of all time. And I've already had to prove to myself because I thought that I was deserving of being the number one pick over Alex Smith. And I made it clear that San Francisco, hey, listen, San Francisco, you haven't won a Super Bowl title. I have, and you could have won it with me instead of that. But I mean, trust me, like how he says, I own you, Bears. I mean, San Francisco owns him. So I mean, I guess it's kind of like a kind of middle finger to you. But at the same time, it's like that to me feels the likely part. It's just he's either done or he's coming back to Green Bay. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I would not be shocked if he goes to Denver because of his relationship with Hackett. But at that point, how do you not release Randall Cobb? How do you not fire Tom Clements? How do you not go in a different direction? Because all these moves were made for Aaron. Like if you're gonna if Aaron's gonna go all out and then leave and then go join another team, everything that reminds you of, and think about this, like when you're in a really bad breakup and then your friend tells you, you got to burn it all, bro. You just got to go ahead and throw it in the fire, light it up, and never think about it again. Sometimes all I think about is you. All right, Tom Clements, get out of here. Late nights in the middle of your, fuck you, Randall Cobb. Get out of here. Like that's what it feels like if Aaron Rodgers were to go to Denver. It's the biggest breakup of all time. But no, I think he either stays at Green Bay and he retires. And my bet is they announce it tomorrow. I really think that. I think Devontae Adams is going to get franchise tagged because what they'll do is if they franchise tag him, somebody is going to have to trade for him. Somebody is going to have to trade for him with a sign and trade offer. So Las Vegas would probably have to would be a potential option. They would have to go with pick number 22. Maybe New England would want him, so they give a pick number 21 or something like that. Like Green Bay would be smart about it to where if they franchise tag him, they're doing a sign and trade. They're going to get some draft capital for the number one receiver in the game if they go ahead and move off him too.
I think that is also going to happen. And as you said, there's nothing else for Mr. Rodgers to improve. I think he has a clear path if he wants to stay as a host or some type of content creator. And
listen to his podcast. I'm not gonna lie. I would listen to an Aaron Rodgers podcast. I know it would be completely out of freaking left field. I would subscribe right away and listen to that shit.
He has Joe Rogan as his first guest, and to begin the debates and the fanfare after that. But yeah, I see Aaron Rodgers either continuing his career. I mean, there was that one report that he said his heart is still in football when he was allegedly ending things with Shane Lee Woodley. But again, those reports are disputed that they're possibly still together. I don't know.
Still together. I don't want to hear it. If you listen to the McAfee interview last time, there's a girl laughing in the background.
Yeah.
I know Shane Lee Woodley's laugh. I know Shane Lee Woodley's laugh. That is Shane Lee Woodley. She's in that room with him.
They had to compare with her on her laugh on the Tonight Show in this. It was definitely her. So
it was her. That's her laugh. I promise you, that's her fucking laugh.
Yes, that's the same laugh she had in The Fault in Our Stars. So yeah, I am definitely intrigued to see what he does. But again, it's all about to unfold for us. So Cole, I wanted just to switch gears really quick. As I mentioned, we met interning at Sirius. You're an alumnus of the University of Alabama. Before we met at Sirius, I want to know what was your life like? What inspired you to go into this industry? Where did you get, what events made you turn into this charismatic personality that you are? So talk to me, what was life like till you got to the University of Alabama?
Well, I think you know this better than anybody because we're both theater nerds. I think a lot of people don't realize how much I love the theater. I'm a huge musical theater dude. I love talking about it. I love plays. I love script writing. I think that there's just a phenomenal art project behind the way they do it. And for a while, I want to be an actor. I really actually want to be an actor if I wasn't going to play sports for the rest of my life. And growing up in Texas, one of the biggest things is that football is freaking life down here. I mean, and it is. I mean, I think people are always oh, Friday Night Lights is an over-exaggerate. No, that's real. My actual, so our buddy, Dan Lynch, who
the
was
greatest.
on the show before, greatest guy, great dude, went to King's College. King's College football field sat about 9,000, about 9,000. My high school stadium sat about 25,000. That's when I shit you not and say, that's the size of Texas football. It's life down here. And before
that's arena numbers right there.
Yeah.
Very big ones too.
Before any of that, I was also really into musical theater. Like when High School Musical was big, I was like Troy Bolton. Like I was real life Troy Bolton. I enjoyed playing football. I loved knocking the piss out of somebody playing safety, playing in like a zone coverage and waiting for them to bait, and then like seeing a wide receiver, oh, I got you now kind of style. And then like I'd soon go right after and then do musical theater. Like I would do I was in Les Mis, I was in Bye Bye Birdie, I was in a production of Avenue Q, I was in a couple of other things. Like I loved doing musical theater and playing always the zany wacky character. Like that was also like one of the things, like people always said that I was like a spaz. So I would play like in Beauty and the Beast, I'd play LeFou, or if I was in Les Mis, I'd play one of the zany guys, and or like especially if I was in, because I did Les Mis a few times, like I would always play like the wacky character, and then when I was in Aladdin, I played the genie and stuff like that. Like I played the zany character because of the personality. And actually, I really didn't want to go into acting. I wanted to go into voice acting because I really loved making voices and doing tones and all that stuff, and kind of like and making people laugh. Like
impressions too.
Yeah, I'll tell you like so for a while I would do like Stitch, and I'm like, how this is handled.
That's really good.
And then like my girlfriend, she hates when I do this, but like I'll do Mickey Mouse every once in a while. Like when I'm really excited, she would like, hey, a bunch of tacos, huh, boy, huh? And it's just like I make people lose their fucking shit when they hear it, and they're like, why didn't you go into voice acting? And I'm like, and they're like, dude, stop, it's not funny anymore. And so when I didn't get into that process, and I realized just like what a 1 in a billion shot you had at it. I did it in college. Like, so my degree is, I'm a double major in journalism and English, and then I'm a minor in theater performance. And I just fell in love with doing sports talk radio. And then I also loved writing about sports. So it's like, okay, I can do a voice and play a character and scream into a microphone for 2 hours on end and get paid to do it, and also talk sports. And to me, it was like kind of a perfect middle ground. It was like, I can be this theatrical guy and take all this knowledge that I've had from learning and doing theater for all these years and transforming it into an actual persona on air. And I'll still talk sports, and I'll still give hot takes, and I'll still give factual information, and I'll find a common blend of being a factual, really good version of myself, but also having that witty personality charm that you need in acting. And like, that's kind of how it all unfolded. And so when I went to Alabama, I started doing radio for them, and I got my own radio show up there. And then I started writing, and then slowly but surely I got offered to do an internship at Sirius XM on, which was really funny because I mean, and this is always like one of the hardest stories for me to tell, because it really does show that in our industry, sometimes it does help being a certain skin color. But I worked on Sirius XM Urban View. So I was the
Karen Hunter show.
I was on the Karen Hunter show as my internship, and I was the token white guy on an urban channel. And trust me, there was a lot of people who were not happy about that. But I will say, the greatest boss I've ever had in my entire life, and I stand by this, and she knows this, and I've told her multiple times, is Karen Hunter. Because Karen Hunter has shown what the real world is, and also how you have to grind to make it in this industry. And the industry does not care about anything other than the sheer fact of how much you want it, how hard are you willing to work. And I will always say, every single day, she gave me something that was pure damn hell, and I got stronger because of it. And I will always appreciate everything that she does. And it's not that she's just one of the best bosses that I've ever had in my life because she was a hard ass on me. She's one of the greatest people that I've ever met in my life, because she showed just how real reality is. And I love that about her, and I appreciate all of that about her.
That's really wholesome to hear. And do you feel that is the proper learning mechanism, that somebody who is on the rise, who's early in their career, do you think it should be more blunt, more transparent, more in your face? If you really want to keep up in a fast-paced environment, you have to understand the risks involved with it, and how much it's going to take to actually accomplish something.
Yeah, to an extent, but at the same time, I mean, I got to be completely fair on this one. I'm going to take the advice of somebody who actually has, one, been in the industry and done it for a very long time, and two, is very respected in the industry. So Karen Hunter is very respected in her industry, and I will always appreciate that. So I'm going to take advice from her, and I'm going to learn from her, and I'm going to make sure that I listened and took down notes and respected every single thing and every bullet point that she said. But then if another reporter comes up to me and says, hey, your article sucks, and all you're doing is doing clickbait articles, Well, then why the hell am I going to care about what you think? You do stuff
Yeah,
out
right.
of, you do stuff out of blame because of you want clicks, and then you don't care about quality content. So it's stuff like that. I'll be honest. I mean, like, I'm very tough on people. I tell it like it is. If I think that you fucking suck, I will gladly say, this is what you need to work on. And I don't care about being nice. And unfortunately, that's not the way the game works anymore. I mean, the reality is that, and I've noticed this, especially in my industry more than ever. And it's not just in our industry, it's in a lot of industries. You know, nepotism is real. I mean, having an in that you don't know about, like that gives you a personal advantage, ultimately does. And what really sucks is that if you say something wrong to the wrong person, they will gladly go to their boss or someone that they know in the business, and they will go and get you fired. So you have to play the game properly, and you have to be careful on who you speak about it to. But I honestly think that that's the best way to learn is tough love and tough criticism. And again, it to me also weeds out the weak. And I don't think for 1 second that doesn't mean that you can't improve. If you were to tell me right now, 7 years ago, when I was able to do my last show with Karen Hunter, and I basically got to run the last 30 minutes on air, to where I am now, I would have laughed at myself in 2015 and said, wow, you were terrible on air. You sucked. You are gosh awful. How the hell do you think you're going to make it in this industry? And now 7 years later, because of all the things that I've learned and the tough criticism that I've gotten, listening and taking notes and advice from people, I've gotten better. And I know I've gotten better. And there's still a lot that I got to do. I'm 28. I mean, there's people who are in their 50s and early 60s doing this and doing it at a very high professional level. And that's 40 years in the industry working on it and honing in their craft and getting better. And that's like one thing that I will say to really anybody in the industry, and no matter what you're doing in broadcasting, and if you're writing, if you're reporting on air, there's always things that you can learn. There's this job is you're never going to master being the greatest at this profession. There's journalists who are 40 plus years in the business and are changing up their writing styles to make it more efficient, to where their content not only is stronger with a voice, but also better for SEO and better for meta and better for click content. So you're getting the best of both worlds. The way that like 40 years ago, you had to tune into a live show. Like you had to be in front of a radio listening to that live show. Now podcasts exist, and podcasts, in a second, you can go back in, hit, no, I don't really like that, hit pause, re-record yourself if it's not live, and then it sounds beautiful. But like at the same time, 40 years ago, when journalists were, writing, they were doing articles on deadlines at midnight because they had to run the press out and the printing press to get them out by 5 a.m. in the morning. So you had to be perfect right then and there. And by then, everything's freaking changed. I mean, you don't really see that many print articles anymore. Everything is online. Everything is on web version now, and everything's behind paywalls. So
it's a paywall,
if you miss it, and unfortunately, here's like the worst part. If you miss like a period or something, congratulations, you can go back in 2 seconds and change it. You couldn't do that back then. So, I mean, to me personally, I think tough love is always the best way to go. I do. And maybe that's just the way I was raised with my dad and my grandfather and all that. But I think that, it strengthens you up and it really makes you look at the real world. And if I could give any young person advice right here, I'll tell you what, I'm one person. Matt's one person. Our word doesn't mean fucking shit. Like you have to believe in yourself before you can ever listen to us. Because at the end of the day, you have to trust that you can do this and you can trust that you can get better. And that's like the best piece of advice I can give anybody. It doesn't matter what they say. Go take their criticism. But at the end of the day, you still have to believe in yourself. You have to be the reason why you're going to be right. That to me is the biggest thing.
Can't get any more wholesome than that. I appreciate your transparency and, I appreciate your honesty with this. I think we all need to hear it sometimes. And it's led you some pretty cool opportunities, Cole. And one of the most fascinating things that I have ever seen, and one of my favorite Snapchat stories, is when you finished at Sirius, you would travel the country being a production assistant or a roadie with Monday Night Football. Is that correct?
I was right out of college. I got offered to basically pay my own way to travel. And that was it. They said, ESPN will hire you. You'll be able to work every single Monday Night Football shift. You'll be there. And if we like you, we'll potentially give you a full-time job later on. Just be there on Thursdays, be there till Monday. And that'd be my week. I would fly out on Thursday. I would get to the set, and I would go Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday on set. And then I would take the red eye back and I would sleep all day Tuesday. I'd repack Wednesday and go back out Thursday. And like, that was my life for about 18 weeks. And I will say, even though it was tough because of, again, I was staying in crap motels and I was barely making a dime. And I was just, I lived in a 4-bedroom house with 5 other people. Like that's like the kind of level of like saving money I was doing. I got to see the world and I got to see the United States. And that's something that I think a lot of people are like, oh, well, was it paying benefits? Is it paying this? Is it doing that? And it's like, no, but you also, I can say I've been to certain places on days off that nobody else has been to. I can say that I've done some things with my time in areas that nobody else will be able to do. And I got to do it while just being in a building. Like just, oh, go show up, make sure that craft services is fine, pick up talent, drop them off, and then you're done for the day. Go have fun afterwards. And it's like, I could say I got to do that stuff. And that was probably the coolest thing. And I got to see some really cool cities that I've always wanted to go to. Got to go to Seattle. I got to go to Detroit. I got to go to Minneapolis. I got to go to New York a few times. You and I went out drinking one night when I was in New York. I remember that.
That's right. The
Iowa-Michigan upset at that bar. And I think one of your friends a Michigan fan. And then we went to your buddy's
my friend Nick White.
I remember that.
My buddy Nick White.
And then we went to go watch. We went to the NYU dorms. I remember this.
Yep.
And we went to go watch that fight on the shoddy computer screen, trying to all hunker around. And I was like, "Come on, what's going on?"
Yeah, which UFC fight that was? Yeah, they hung with my great buddy Nick White.
It was McGregor someone. I remember that. But I like it's things like that like is so cool that I could say I got to do and I got to have memories of doing and I got to go see areas that I've always wanted to. And one thing I'm really into is I love saying I can cross off certain spots and states and bucket lists and all that. And for 18 weeks, it was basically a new city. I was living out of a suitcase and I was living in a new city. So I got to kind of live my life and I got to do some really cool stuff that was probably never going to happen if I didn't take that job opportunity.
Do you almost feel like it was like almost a humble period of your life? Like once you get through this and you grow so much personally and professionally, just wait to see what you do from here on out.
I think I learned 2 things in that. Number one, I wasn't as hot shit as I thought I was coming out of college. I thought because I covered Alabama football and because I had my own radio show in college and I was pretty good at that and I was able to book guests and I interned at Sirius, people were going to want me right off the bat. And I got one offer at a small radio station in Huntsville, Alabama, and they weren't even going to pay me a salary. So I was like, I'm not going to do that. And that was a guy who comes with accolades. And I'm like, hey, so I need to humble myself and realize there's still a lot I got to learn. So that was the very first thing. And the second thing was I took it as an opportunity because I talk about this now and it's like, back then I was such a brooding bitch, but like now looking at it, I just got out of a relationship with a girl and, living in Texas and doing all that, it's like every single time I thought about her and it's like, this gets my mind away from it. I don't have to think about this and I get to kind of explore. So what it kind of did was it was kind of my coping mechanism of not being stuck in a rut because I was always keeping my brain busy. I was always keeping my body busy. I was always keeping my mind on an influx and moving around and doing all that. And I got to see cool things and I got to go to really awesome places and I got to meet a bunch of people at random bars and, hang out with certain people. And I'd call a buddy if I knew them from a certain city and they would take me out with them one night and then I'd go to work the next morning and do all that. And it was awesome. And it really helped me kind of grow. And it let me also see certain areas of the world to where I really do realize how lucky I actually am to be in certain spots. I'm very lucky to have the support staff that I do. I'm very lucky to have the family that I do. And probably best of all, I'm very lucky that I grew up in a spot to where I never had to worry about my safety or I never had to worry about certain things. I never had to worry about, about when my next meal was coming. And there were some areas that I went to where that did happen. And it breaks your heart. But at the same time, you get to see just how diverse the country is. And more specifically, how incredibly different certain areas are.
And also credit to you for looking at it that way. There's some people who will still keep those selfish tendencies, but no, you realized what, luck actually is just simply waking. Sometimes as simple as being able to wake up, having some type of opportunity and be productive with yourself. And it's nice to know that you looked at it the right way as well.
I think the biggest thing is, and again, I'll never judge anybody for it. I'm Catholic. If you're atheist, if you're a different religion, that's fine. But I truly do believe you're just born in luck. Like it's unfortunately the luck of the draw. And there's a lot of people who are very lucky to be born in the life that they have. And then there's people who aren't. And I think that the great thing about free will is it gives you the opportunity to write your own story. You don't need to sit in the dark and say, well, this is the story that was written for me. You can always go ahead and change it. And sometimes probably the best part of that story is you can hit a period and start a new chapter instead of just turning the page and keeping it going. And like that to me has always been my mantra, is that if I don't like the story that I'm writing, hit the period, start a new chapter. Don't go ahead and continue to write that same story.
Don't settle. Seize the day.
Don't settle.
And
don't settle.
That makes the difference between the haves and the have-nots, I think. You know, some people accept the fate and don't do anything with it. Some people are cynical about it, but I think it's all just a game. Some people are born on third base. Some people are born on first, and there's no reason why you can't make it home. I really believe that.
There's people born in the hole. I mean, like legitimately, they're not even in the batter's box when we're talking about this. They're starting in the hole, getting called up to pinch hit. Like they have to become the hero of their own story. Like there's people who have that, but in my opinion, there's no reason why you can't. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes you have it easier. I can tell you right now, growing up in the life that I did, I had a lot easier to get to my path than other people. But every single person, and this is something that I really hope that we in this country slowly start to realize, we have to make sure we give everybody the fair chance. And again, that doesn't mean that the story is going to all come out the same way, but we have to give everybody that fair shot. And as long as we give them, if you give them 3 strikes, you got to give them 3 strikes and they can swing away and they're swinging away. You have to be able to give them it. You can't go ahead and say, okay, you're already starting at 0-2, 1 strike or you're out. You can't do that. Like that to me is the biggest thing, is that we got to make sure that we continuously give a fair shot to everybody. You are starting at a 0-0 count. No matter how you get up to the plate, you're starting at a 0-0 count.
And you'd be surprised how many people are still able to hit it into play. So, Cole, another thing that I was wondering about. So after your experience with Monday Night Football and you're growing some experience, where does the writing come to play? How do you get from going from Monday Night Football to eventually writing NFL and college football coverage for Sports Illustrated? I believe there was a point where you were writing for USA Today. Did I get that right?
Yeah, I was working for their sub company. Yeah,
cool,
the Wire Network, obviously.
So how did you get through this arc to where you're at now in terms of your writing?
I never stopped. I think that was like the biggest thing, is that I went to college to become a sports journalist. So I went with a print background and then I just picked up radio along the way. So when I was going into college, and this is something that I guess I could tell anyone who wants to go into this profession, my professor or the dean of the journalism program told me straight up, you can go into anything. You can go to broadcasting, you can go to radio, you can go to print, you can go to magazine writing, you can go into photography. The basis of every single journalistic style is writing. You have to be able to write something, whether that be a script or whether that be an article or whether that be a story or whether that be a collage board of what these pictures are saying or captions of pictures. You have to be able to learn to write. So that was my big step, was you have to be able to write. And that's still the basis of everything. I mean, like when I do prep for my radio show, I will go and I will still write out everything. And there's a thing on the show called 2-Minute Warning, where we do the biggest storylines from the day before, and we do it in 2 minutes or less. I write that script every single time. I want to know exactly what my producer is going to say in my ear. I want to know exactly how it's going to come out. I write down exactly what's the time of the audio that we're using in the clip. I want to know all those things, because then it helps me better prepare for better content, for a better flow, for a better audience. So I never stopped writing. And then when I was working for ESPN, I got a phone call from a buddy who I worked with saying, hey, they're doing this called the Wire Network and your name got floated around. Would you want to reach out to their EOD? So naturally I did. And they liked me and I liked what they kind of stood for. And they said, we'll barely pay you, but you'll be able to have a platform to write. And I thought, okay, this is great. And it will help build my reputation, build my name. And slowly but surely it got out and I started building. And then I went to SB Nation for a little bit. And then I went to the AAF, the Alliance of American Football, which was like my big break, which probably lasted as long as the league did. So that fucking sucked. But anyways, after that, I got a phone call from another buddy who I'd become pretty good friends with working at the Wire Network. And they said, hey, Sports Illustrated is opening up their own kind of content mill, very similar. Your name got floated around. Would you want to go ahead and do that? And I thought, I'll freelance for a little bit. And then about a year and a half later, I got offered to go do a bunch of NFL content, a bunch of college football content. So that's kind of how I got there. And again, I'm still not to where I want to be. I want to be on the full on national. I get to do broad perspective. Right now, I'm just doing basic stuff for certain teams and certain outlets and certain styles like that. Their ultimate goal is to be able to do every single team in every single country and then have all that knowledge. And like, that's the thing, is that like, that's the end goal. And that's what keeps me pushing. And like, that's the king. But here's the thing about like, and here's something that I will also tell basically any single writer out there. Not only always continue to work on your writing, never stop reading, because of eventually, like, never stop reading an article ever, because of, even when you read like a 23-year-old's like dissertation on like film study and stuff like that, you'll learn like what is working and what isn't. And more specifically, you'll also be able to help find your own voice. And honestly, without reading the works of like Jeff Pearlman and Lars Anderson and Dan Pompey, I don't think I would be where I'm at now if I did not read. And I read, I would say, at least 36 articles a day. I mean, like I'm reading 60 articles, like 60 articles every 2 days. Like that's how much reading I do. And it's not because of I want to, it's because of I need to continuously read. I need to see what's trending. I need to see how to better on my own skills and how to continuously find my own voice. So, and again, I'll read my own stuff. I'll read my stuff from fucking 5 years ago and go, that was shit. That was bullshit. What the fuck was that? You call yourself a journalist. Like, kind of look like I'll do that. And you know what's going to happen in 5 more years when you have me back on this podcast? I'm going to say 5 years ago, that was shit. That was crap. What the fuck are you thinking on that one? And like, that's the other thing, is that it's not just you reading for now. It's you reading and hopefully understanding that you read your own work and see how you've improved. Because if anybody sits out there and goes, oh yeah, you know, when I was in 2013, I wrote this. And in 2022, I wrote this. And I have always been this good. No, you haven't. Like, no, the hell you have not. No, you haven't. You have not been that good. You've done your research. You've gotten better. You've learned. You've listened. You've come over time. You've seen, oh, this is way too long of a sentence. Period. New sentence. Cut. Like, you've learned how to do that. And that's important.
Yeah, I really connect with you talking about reading. As I continue to advance my skills as a host and as a communicator, I read to keep informed every day. One, I heard that's what Johnny Carson did. He was the most well-read person in the industry, they said. And that's what I do, keeping up with all articles on all pop culture, news, sports, human interest, et cetera, et cetera. And then also, I listen to myself all the time to see how I can improve on my pacing, on my articulation, on asking questions. I think people have to realize how important and vital it is to be your biggest critic. I'm sure you agree with that, Cole.
Bro, I listen to my show every single day.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I'll listen to it on times too. Like, I'll listen to it way too fast. And like, if I know a part that like I felt uncomfortable with, I'll slow it down there. But I listen to every single show because the first thing is, if I'm going to send something into the world, I better like it first. That's my number one rule. I better like it. Because the last thing that I ever want to do is I want somebody not to like it if I don't approve of it. Because if you have to be your own worst critic. And I know that's such a cop-out answer, because people are going to say, wow, I hate you as much as you hate you. Like, there's always going to be that one asshole who's like, wow, you also think you're a dick. So do I. Like, and that's always going to happen. But the biggest thing for me is that if I personally do not like it, I don't want to send it out there. And I want to make sure that it's good. Like I want to feel as soon as I hit pause, send live, fuck yeah, that's going to be awesome. That's going to be great. And if I don't feel that way, how can I expect my listeners to feel that way?
Yeah, you have to love yourself before someone can love your stuff and work. So patience is key, everybody. Remember that. And
patience is the biggest virtue out there. Oh, I'm telling you guys, patience. Yeah, no, there is no fucking second. It's patient. You have got to be patient in this game. You are not. I'm going to tell you right now. There is the one of 150,000 people who will immediately go from college to a major radio show program or major television program, fresh out, and never work a day in their life outside of that company. There is one person. That's it. If you're not that one person, you better be patient. You better play the long game. And I have watched, I will tell you this right now. I have watched so many people in this industry after 2 years of being in this industry and not being at the highest level, quit and go into something else. You have got to be patient if you want to do this. You have to be patient.
And always, you have to be better than you were yesterday to get there. Nothing's handed to you.
The best way I could say is that I always use this phrase. Tomorrow's a new day. Pretend you have amnesia. It's a brand new day, clean slate. Go ahead and start fresh. You cannot let what you said. So I'll give you a purpose. Right when I started with the show, 2 days in a row, I had really bad segments, and they were always like near the end. I was like, I'm really tired, and it's been a long morning, and I'm burned out. And like the second I was like, okay, brand new day. Don't have to worry about what I did yesterday during this time. Don't think about what you did yesterday during this time. It flowed better. Like literally hit like pretend to hit the reset button in your brain when it goes to midnight. And then as soon as that happens, you should feel fine.
And you're grooving. That's why you're great at what you do, Cole. Not here to kiss your ass, but to just tell the truth and keep inspiring us with that good stuff. And before we get into this, so last few fun things, Cole, how did you ultimately get your gig at Sports Map National Radio? As we said, you are the host of Just Saying It. How did you get yourself in that power chair?
I got lucky. I really wish I had a right answer for this. I got sheer lucky. I had a buddy who was working at Sports Map. We became friends. He used to bring me on. So like the best way I can put it is, you know, the Herbert Colin Cowherd, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So, okay. So you know how he brings on Joel Klatt, and like Klatt will sit inside the booth with him and they'll talk and they'll have a personality, like kind of pissing contest on college football stuff.
Oh yeah.
So I did that on my buddy Jake's show about the NFL. I would come in once a week and I would spit game with him. And the production manager at the time, the program director at the time, one time just sat in there and listened and said, "You guys, one, have really good chemistry together, and two, it sounds like you've been on radio before. Do you want to start being our freelance host to where if we need a rotational
do your
guy
fill-in work and stuff?
Can you be a fill-in?" And I said, "Yeah, I would love to." And like that was kind of how I got started. And then I did really well as a fill-in after a year. And he's like, "You want your own show?" And so I just grinded. And there's been times I have done shows at midnight. I have done shows at 3 p.m. I have done shows at 7 p.m. I have done shows at 4 a.m. I've done shows at 7 a.m. I literally had to be on call. And there were multiple times where things were going on in my life and they were like, "Hey, can you come in and fill in?" "Yeah, I can." And I had a one, show I wanted it. Number two, I also had to continuously work on it. I had to go back and listen to my own tape and go, okay, I like this. I don't like this. And I would also start booking my own guests, and I would start bringing in my own people who made the show a little bit more, I would say, credible, because if I wouldn't just be talking on air for 2 hours nonstop, I would have a guest come on. They'd be able to like give me some insight. They would be able to give some context and like, okay, this guy knows what he's talking about. And then after persistence and hard work and plain and simple, just the reality of just getting better with reps, I just got very lucky and got my own show. I'm like, I really wish that it was one of those things where, I applied for a job and, they said, "We love your air check tape and you're going to get hired." No, I spat ball for a year and a half with a buddy on air. And then I spat ball for a year by myself as a fill-in. And then I got lucky. Like that's the story behind it. And I think a lot of people out there are just like, "Oh, you had your foot in the door." You're right. I did. And Jake Asman knows this as long as I love. Jake Asman is the reason why I'm halfway to where I am today. The fact that he just said, "You know what you're talking about. You're very good at what you do. You are very talented. I want to bring you on as a guest." And that was it. And no payment, no nothing. Just, "Do you want to spitball for an hour?" Hell yes. And I made that commitment. And that was it.
Hey, it just shows that everybody's journey is different and that you just always have to be ready for your opportunity. preparation and timing meet together, that's when things happen, right? And when can we find you? And so if we want to listen to you, we'll just type in on Google, we'll go to sportsmapnationalradio.com. And when are you on the air?
Right, so you can go to sportsmapradio.com starting on, starting on next Monday, the 13th, 14th. I will move from 5 to 7 a.m. to 3 to 5 a.m. So I am on 3 to 5 a.m.
3 to 5 a.m. It is Monday through Thursday.
It is nighttime radio. It is not, but you can also catch the podcast version on the website. You can also catch the podcast version on iTunes as well, if I'm not mistaken. So
excellent stuff.
There's stuff there.
And I have listened. Oh, I was just saying, I have listened to Cole. He's as awesome, fun, and charismatic as per usual on it. But I didn't mean to interrupt your point. You were saying something else?
No, I was just saying, like, oh no, I could fucking curse on here. I can't do that there. The FCC would be all over my ass. I think that's the fun shit, like, of it. Like the funny thing is, like, and you know this because if we're friends, but like I cuss like a fucking sailor. Like my mother's always like, do you kiss your mother with that mouth? Yes, mom. Come on, bring it in, motherfucker. It's like. And it's like on air. Yes, I believe that this person is not a nice fella. He does not need to be playing in the NFL anymore. Boom. When my real thoughts are completely fucking different than that. But again, it's one of those things where FCC regulations, the last thing I'm going to do is get in trouble with the law.
Well, they can't hurt you out here, Cole. And I'm just curious also, Cole, just leisurely, what have you been listening to or watching and binging? You know, you have a good mind for the arts. I'm just curious, what you checking out nowadays?
I love the like mainstream drama shows. I'm not gonna lie. Like This Is Us.
This Is Us.
I am so burned out with it at this point. I think I'm watching the last season just based on necessity because I've watched the first 5 seasons and been in love with it. Like the last season is like driving me nuts with some of the subplots. Same with like A Million Little Things. Like I love like those type of shows. I think that Ted Lasso is one of the best written television shows in the last 25 years. I think it's phenomenally written. I think it's a really good content. And what they did was the story behind Ted Lasso might be even better than the TV show itself. It was by NBC just doing a commercial, and it got so popularized that they made an entire TV show. And Jason Sudeikis is probably the one. Like that's going to be the one role that everyone knows him for the remainder of his life. And like sometimes when and you know this, like with actors, like sometimes it becomes really tough when you become an actor and you get like one of these prominent roles and no one else can see you in anything again. I feel like this is like the one where it's like, oh, I think he's okay. If he has to play Ted Lasso, Southern, like Georgia Southerner who goes and coaches in football in England because he hears about football and it's like, that's okay. It's like, I feel like that's a really interesting subject. Let's see. I loved Brooklyn Nine-Nine. I thought Brooklyn Nine-Nine was actually the best television show out there when it was on. I thought everything about
oddly that show, underrated for such a feel good, easy watch.
What I love about that show is they hit so many tropes to where it doesn't feel like anybody can feel any certain way. So you and I know this probably really well right now, and this may get political a little bit. I don't really care.
We're not afraid of anything.
A lot of shows are very liberal agenda based, like where you have to hit all these tropes. I never felt that way. It never felt that way with Brooklyn Nine-Nine. Like you had a gay black police chief, and it just felt like he was a cool dude. Like they didn't shove that down your throat. And you had a bisexual Latino woman as one of the main cast characters. And this was one of the very first times that the bisexual woman was a prominent character on a television show. I mean, and they didn't shove it down your throat. They just said, this is part of her story, which is how real life works. And that's what I loved about the show, is that it felt like something that everyone could enjoy when bringing up really serious social issues, because the final season, they brought up police brutality. They brought up Black Lives Matter, but they did so in a way that is how real conversations, I feel, go in today's society, which is why it's really important for like those type of television shows. Like that's something I do. Listening to, I love And I give a huge shout out to these guys, Trevor Sikkema and Connor Rodgers on Pro Football Focus, the NFL Draft Stock Exchange. They're a very good show if you get a chance to listen to them. I absolutely love everything about them. Really two smart people in this industry that I have a high lot of respect for. They've done a phenomenal job throughout the career. Both very talented podcasters that I think are really good. I love listening to Tom Segura's podcast. I think that that is hands down. That and the Bill Burr podcast are two of my favorite podcasts out there. There is something about Bill Burr that will always make me laugh. Like that, everyone will always like have this thing of like, who's your favorite comedian of all time? And like, there's always gonna be like an up and coming name. So Bill Burr is the go-to. Like if you were to give me one comedian I got to listen to for the remainder of my life, I would pick Bill Burr every single time. And
just so authentic, that man.
He doesn't care. And I think that's the reason why I love it. Like him and Dave Chappelle, very differently, just basically scream, fuck you, I'm going to do me. And that is what I think. Bill Burr. Like the guy I'm listening to in the podcast, or the guy I'm seeing on stage, that is who Bill Burr is every single time. That is who Dave Chappelle is every single time. If I were to meet them out in public, that's how they would act around me. They would like, I would ask them a stupid question about sports. Yeah, what the fuck you mean, motherfucker? Like that would be the way that they would respond to stuff. Yeah, you know, Baker Mayfield, he's a fucking bum. It's just like that would be the way he would explain it to me. And he would do so on a national network too, and he wouldn't give two shits. Like that's the type of guy that like the authenticity about them is something that I always love. And I always listen to Matt Brown. So, you know, that's always positive too. I always want to listen to what Matt Brown has to say.
Hey, man, we appreciate you tuning in. And I do check you out when I can. Now, it is hard, the 3 to 5 a.m., but I will go to the podcast each time I'm tuned into Just Saying It. And, yeah, between that and I just listen to The Fan all the time. Just easy listen. I love every single one of the hosts now. And then Pardon My Take, and obviously Howard, Mad Dog, Conan O'Brien are all in my rotations every day.
See, I remember you telling me the stories about Howard, because if you would always train in from Connecticut. Like that was what you used to do. And like I always did, like because like you got to realize from a kid from Texas living in New York, you think of like New York just being like this major city and like everything. And like my family grew up in the Bronx and then they grew up in Jersey City. But I didn't realize that Connecticut is like a 45-minute train ride in. And then like I got to ESPN, and they're stationed in Sanford, right outside of where you live. So it's in Bristol, like right outside where you live. And there were two people that worked for ESPN. And Katie one time was just like, "Oh yeah, I live in the city. I don't need to get a hotel." What do you mean you live in the city? Don't you work at ESPN? Yeah, I take the train in when I need to go in. Like I literally just get on a train and it's like 45 minutes. Then I get a rental car and do it that way. What? And I'm just like blown back. I'm like, yeah, it's a 45-minute train ride. Where the hell have you been your entire life? Texas?
Yeah, you know, the reason why I laugh is because so many people think, at least the Fairfield County part of Connecticut is on the other side. They think it's where Boston is, and it's not. Yeah. There is a good, I would say, from all the commuters, a solid 30 to 35% are from the Connecticut suburbs. I mean, whether it's for tax reasons, like my parents are both New Yorkers who moved there or whatever. And now that I've lived in Jersey myself, I can understand why people do appreciate Connecticut. Such a beautiful state. Oh my God.
State. It's a freaking, like, it's a train ride.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's it. It's a train ride and a beautiful state. Like you can get all the perks of going into New York for an afternoon and really having like nothing to worry about, and then going home to a beautiful state. To where New York, you're living in a middle to nothing kind of apartment and paying the same price you would on a mortgage for a 3-bedroom house in Connecticut.
Oh, the
like I mean, like that's the reality of it.
And it's only getting up, and up and up and up. But that's the game in the tri-state area. And we need some Cole Thompson to make a return once he's ready, even if it's for a day or two. But
I really do. Like I actually miss living in New York, and it was fun. It was a lot of fun. And honestly, I'm still young enough to where I think I could do it. I don't know how much longer I have. I don't know how much longer I am though. Like, I don't know. Like, I'm at that point because I have some buddies who work and they cover the Giants and they cover the Jets. And I have one buddy who covers the Eagles and like he lives in New Jersey. And he's like, if I was single, I would have done it living in New York and like done the commute. But now that I'm married, hell to the fuck no, I want to do that shit. And I'm like, I kind of see it. Like I live in downtown Houston and like I love it. But like my girlfriend is like at that point, she's like, you know, I wouldn't mind having a backyard and now I have a dog. And I'm like, I would not mind living with a backyard either. And it's like, I live in a box in New York. So it's like,
It really, at that point, it is all timing where you're at in your life now. You know, as far as for me, I'm still a single guy, see what else is out there. But, you know, when I said, if the right opportunity comes when it comes to companionship, I am so running the whole way through with that. But it's also, I mean, it has been it's definitely had its trials and tribulations. Now there's a new mayor in Eric Adams. Hopefully could fix. There are some things we need, especially the crime is pretty messy. Some people compare it back to the 70s, especially after just so much stress with social justice and COVID. There's just a lot of work that needs to be done, but I still believe in it, and I know that things are going to switch up. And Cole, we hopefully, if there's a baseball season, if we could get some Astros Yankees in there, and you know what, I just want to say to you that you could keep Correa. I'm a Yankee fan who does not want your shortstop and pitch stretch.
I don't get the Yankee Correa. I don't.
Me neither. I
don't get it. If you want to, okay, if he was going to go to a team in New York, it would be the Mets, in my opinion. That's where he would go, and I don't think he's going to the Mets. Like, but
yeah, they got Lindor, so I don't think he's switching positions.
But even if you had Lindor, my whole thought was, oh, they let Javi go. Maybe they go ahead and move Lindor to second and play Correa at short. But like, that's it. Like I never once saw him being a Yankee. Like everyone was like, oh, he's going to be a Yankee. I'm like, no, he's not. I thought he was going to Detroit. I thought too. And honestly, Javi can play second base. He can play third base. You can move him around. He does not have to be your shortstop. Javi Baez can be your second baseman if he wants to. You can still find a way to get him re-signed with AJ Hinch. I would not be shocked. Like, I really wouldn't.
Well, do you want Correa back?
Yeah, of course I want Correa back. I mean, who the hell doesn't want Correa back? I don't want to pay him. Let's be real. This is not a Correa thing. This is an every single person baseball thing. I don't want to offer you a decade deal. I don't want to offer any player a decade deal. I don't think it's worth it. I don't. Like, and I understand, like, right now with a guy like Tatis, you get rid of his arbitration years and instead you make it 13 years of having him under roster control. That makes a little bit more sense because of in that time period, that's going to be at his peak. So you're going to get him for what his value is to where when he's done with the deal at like 33, 34, you're technically not overpaying for him. But guys like if anyone takes away anything from the Robinson Cano deal, like, to me, that's the deal that I'm like, bro, how the hell are you going to do 10-year deals? How the hell is
a good example too.
The Pujols is a great example. Like Pujols was good in LA, but his best years of baseball were behind him when he signed deal. like his best years were done, and he put up decent numbers, but he was not the same Pujols that he was when he was with St. Louis. And it's like everyone's like, oh, well, he wants to continue playing. I'm like, for who? And is he going to take the league minimum and maybe a minor league contract to have to earn his way onto the roster? Like, because that's the way that I look at it.
Yeah. And Cole, just quick thoughts. Do you think we're getting a baseball season? And if so, when? I think it's going to be a May or maybe even a Memorial Day opening day start.
I'm kind of in the same boat with you. I think Memorial Day week. Like, I feel like if they come to terms, like in the next couple months, like by the end of March, they will hold off for Memorial Day weekend just because of the impact of that weekend. Like just because of that weekend and how baseball is so synonymous with it, kind of like 4th of July. Like 4th of July, baseball, fireworks, all that stuff. It feels like that would be the weekend that they bring it back. Like even if like they come to terms, okay, well, we're gonna go ahead and be ready to start by mid-April. No, let's hold off and let's get players signed. Let's get them into like some rotation, and then we'll start Memorial Day weekend. Like that feels more likely than anything else.
They're going to have a long ways to go on a PR sense to get the trust of the fans back. So think of any way you get that fanfare, because you have a lot of upset people on both sides now. Oh, Cole, I could talk to you all day. This was really awesome, man. May I just ask if we could just do one last thing? It's a tradition as I keep.
One more.
As a tradition I keep with all the first-time guests. I do the Prouse questionnaire, 10 questions. You can answer however you want, whether you want to go long or short for, but just 10 questions that I think is a nice final way to understand who you are as a person. So, Cole, may I do the Prouse questionnaire with you?
Go ahead. Let's get these 10 questions going.
All right. My first question on the Prouse questionnaire is, what is your favorite word, Cole?
Man, that's tough, actually.
True favorite word. Think about that. Exactly.
I mean, fuck's probably top 3. I will say that. I use that like a binky. I will say this. The one that I love using, and like, I think it's funny because of like, actually one of my former bosses brought it up. I say brah a lot. What's that, brah? Yeah, what's that, brah? I love, and like, he makes fun of me because of like, I love going out on the lake, cause there's a lake about 70 miles up from my apartment downtown. Mm-hmm. And I call it Lake Conroe, and we'll go out there all the time. And he'd always make jokes and be like, "It's a lake day, brah," and I'm like, "Yeah, brah." Like, so, fucker, brah would probably be my favorite word.
Okay, I'll take that. So let's follow that with, what's your least favorite word?
Ooh, I don't even know if I can say it because it makes my skin crawl so much. I'll spell it out because of I just, and you could go ahead and say it and watch my reaction. Hiney.
Hiney. Hiney?
Yeah. I don't know why. Like, and you can ask my girlfriend this. Like, she'll sometimes say words just to watch my skin crawl. And like I don't know why, but like I have like this thing about me to where like when I hear a receptive word, I just see like spoiled curdled milk. And like whenever I hear that word, that's the first thing I see. And it smells like complete and total like ass. Like that is why. And I'm like, ugh. Makes my skin crawl. Ugh.
Well, we will don't worry, I will not punish you with that word of hiney. So, Cole, this question is not necessarily a sexual question, but this is more of a life of fulfillment question. So, Cole Thompson, what turns you on in life?
I think making people happy. I honestly feel like that's my thing. Is like, people all the time ask me, and they're like, why do you never put yourself first? And it's like, I like seeing other people happy. I don't like getting gifts. I like giving gifts. I like doing that stuff. Like, knowing that I made someone's day is a whole lot fucking better than someone making my day. I will say that. And little things like just texting somebody and making sure that they're okay goes a long way for me. So that probably is like the thing that like gives me the most joy, and I guess turns me on, I guess, in that sense.
What a great answer. So with that, what turns you off in this world?
Anybody who thinks that their opinion is the right opinion. Because here's the key word. It's an opinion. It's not a fact. There are certain opinions that definitely are 100% wrong. I'll give you a perfect one. Adolf Hitler was a sweet guy. Like, that one is like, no. But like, little things. I have a lot of friends who are Democrats. I have a lot of friends who are Republicans. I have friends who are big supporters of the BLM movement. I have people who think that it's a complete joke. Give me a reason why I need to be able to talk to you. Talk to me about your opinion. Don't just say, "Oh, your opinion's wrong. You're stupid. You're an idiot. You don't know how to have conversations." And that would actually save a lot of time if you just listen to people. If you shut the fuck up and listen to another person. And that goes both ways. Like, you need to be able to listen to people and what they're thinking, and the other people need to be able to listen to you. But the second that your opinion doesn't match someone else's opinion and you immediately turn them off, or I guess stereotypicalize them into one thing. Oh, I don't smoke marijuana. You hate weed. You're against the legalization. Like, no, I just don't like doing it. Or, I adopted a puppy. You want to murder dogs that are in shelters. How fucking dare you? It's like, bro, Like little things like that go a long way for me. So any single person who thinks that their opinion is the right opinion, it automatically turns me off.
I mean, we need the people of Twitter to hear what you just said, man. Right before you log in for certain accounts, you have to know the truth from Cole Thompson. So with that, what sound or noise do you love?
What sound or noise do I love? I think my dogs bark.
Oh.
I honestly think that when my dog barks, because of it's him talking to me, and the one thing that I was taught from a young age is that dogs are supposed to be family. And I will say that that has always been my mantra since I was a little kid, is that dogs are not just pets. There's so much more than that. So when your dog reciprocates and talks to you and is giving you barking and stuff like that, it's them ultimately trying to communicate with you, saying that they love you. And I don't think that there's anything better than the sound of a dog's love. So my dog's barking at me when I'm like, you want to go outside? It's like, yes, that means that I'm doing something right. And 9 times out of 10, you can piss off a lot of people. It takes a lot to piss off a dog. Like it takes a lot to piss off a dog.
It really does.
It's one of those things where like you can say a lot, like, you look ugly today. Oh, I still love you. It's like, yep, totally got it. So any single time my dog barks is probably maybe my favorite sound.
Man's best friend for a reason. So what
Man's best friend for a reason.
Yeah. So what sound or noise do you hate?
Hate. That's a tough one, actually. There's not a lot of sounds I actually hate. I will say the sound that haunts me. So let's just go ahead and kind of change that. I was in a really bad car wreck right before I went to Sirius. I think I've told you about this. I think there's a few people that did. My car flipped going 85 miles an hour, and I flipped 4 times, and I walked away with a broken hand and some whiplash and a stage 3 concussion, but that was about it. I still dream of that sound from time to time. And that's a sound that has kind of followed me since 2014. And it's one that I've slowly been able to kind of forget. But if I ever hear a car wreck or something like that, it's like my own PTSD that kind of brings me back. And it horrifies me to know that I walked away almost completely unharmed, but I have no idea how. And that's one of those things to where any single time I hear a car wreck or I hear like the sound of crunch of metal, it's like a lot of memories come up. And I got into a really dark place after that for a little bit. And luckily I was able to get out of it. But the sound of a car crash is arguably the most horrifying sound of my entire life that I don't want to hear.
Yeah, man, I'm really sorry you had to go through that. And we're glad that there's a reason why you're still here to tell that. But, we're always here for you, man. And glad you had that second chance.
Oh, I love it. And again, I have a tattoo where it's the car wreck date and the pocket watch to where time could have stopped. And instead of it stopping, it continued. So you got to live everything like that. And that's something that I always love.
For sure. So this will be a funny transition. What's your favorite curse word?
Fuck. Hands down. I mean, I will slide fucking a little things. Honestly, I will. Like, I'll fucking find fucking ways to figure the fuck out how to fucking say the F word as much as fucking possible. Like, that's how much I fucking love it. Like, I will. And the second that I turned of age to where they're like, it's proper to say fuck, fuckity, fuck. Like, I was Eric Cartman, and I love it.
Oh, your kids are gonna have a fun vocabulary of all types.
I honestly just can't wait to get called into school where they said, your son or daughter or whatever your child goes by has said the F word in school. Well, of course they fucking did. I say it all the fucking time in front of them. What the fuck you want me to do? I think you should change your dialect for your kids. Why? That's the real fucking world. I'm not gonna change it for them.
I once read this theory that soon, because we're so desensitized from curse words and generations, that the rating system won't at least mark for swear words. They think you might be able to say fucking PG-13 movies soon.
Well, you can say it once, like that.
Yeah, like more than once, I should say.
I say, because here's the thing that like we always are hopeful for is like when Deadpool goes to the MCU, me and my buddy have this bet that what's going to happen is he's going to show up in a PG-13 version. He's not going to be allowed to say the F word, and Ryan Reynolds is going to wait until the end because it's so meta and he understands breaking the fourth wall. It's like, no one said it. No one said it. Oh boy. You guys ready? And then we see Wolverine played by Hugh Jackman come back and just goes, "What the fuck you looking at? You mother!" And then it cuts to black. Like that is like my ultimate goal of like introducing both Ryan Reynolds and Hugh Jackman as Wolverine and Deadpool to the MCU. Like that is like my ultimate goal. And so please wait until that happens, and then by all means go into it and then do whatever you want.
I'll be showing that take once that happens in 2025.
Yeah.
By the way, new Batman, Robert Pattinson, best Batman now. Just
I'm going to see it this week. I'm going to see it this week, and I'm very pumped about it because I've heard stuff about the movie. I've heard from everyone he is fantastic as Batman.
Yeah,
and I love that he is good as Batman because I even said after he was in the Lighthouse, I was like, I want to see him play someone really, really dark. Oh, Bruce Wayne. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
And a whole new retelling closer to those really dark comics from the 80s. Yeah. There we go. Robert Pattinson, best living actor right now, I think. Best with accents too.
I'll be interested to see, and I'll text you after the movie, and I'll be like, all right, I agree.
Please do. I'm really excited to hear what you got to say. So, with the few professions you have, what other professions than the few that you have already that you would like to attempt?
You mean what would I like to attempt?
Yeah, besides, talk show host, writer.
I want to be in a movie. I want to be in a movie as a voice actor. So I can say I did it.
Seriously, you could still do it. It's so possible now. We've seen all these avenues of people getting on the screen. I mean, Cole, you're really talented when it comes to this stuff. I really think you can do it.
That's what I want to do. That's what I want to. And I just want to be able to create a character and just something like that to where I just go, I have it. And I don't want to be like that stupid, like, hey, what's up, guys? I'm Corey from Corey's World. Like, I want to be that guy and be the dude that's on camera and has to have that super cool sounding voice that goes ahead and talks like this all the time. I don't want to be that dude. I just want to find like kind of a common ground and like find that character and build it that way. But yeah, I want to do a voice. I want to be a voice actor. I want to do at least one movie to where I go to a movie premiere and they're like, oh yeah, he's in it. Oh yeah, he did it. Like Stephen Colbert, before he went on to the Tonight Show, when he was still doing the Colbert Report, was like in 3 different movies as a voice actor. And I'm like, you motherfucker stole my goddamn idea. How dare you, Stephen Colbert? And now it's like, oh, I love you. But like, that's what I want to be able to do that. I just want to say that I did it once.
You could be like Pat McAfee, who goes in the wrestling world and then is a talk show host. And why not be the next one, man? You have my support, and I see you creating a nice character that will get you lots of merch deals and residuals. And I'd like to see you pull it off, man. You got my support.
I will say my dream of all time, if I could, if I could do one thing, and it will never happen because they have to release the rights. I would like to convince the Watterson family to finally make Calvin and Hobbes into a television show.
Ooh.
I would love to see Calvin and Hobbes done, but Watterson has made it impossible to register rights on doing anything Calvin and Hobbes. But I think know that. But I think doing it, like, if I could do a Calvin and Hobbes movie and I could voice Hobbes, because I will say one of the happiest memories of me growing up as a kid was sitting with my grandfather at the bagel store on Sundays after church, reading Calvin and Hobbes. And still to this day, I mean, I kid you not, still to this day, my background is, I gotta clear all this real fast. Come on, let's see. Still Calvin and Hobbes.
Yeah, for those listening, Cole is showing me his screensaver, and it is Calvin and Hobbes showing his loyalty and fandom.
I've loved that comic since I was 7 years old, and I would love to see it come to life. And the reality is that when you look at some of the major properties like of comics that we grew up with, they're dying because there's no more print media. And I want to keep it alive for as long as possible. I love that the Peanuts kind of made a revival a few years ago. I want Calvin and Hobbes to stay alive because I want that for my kids, and I want that for my next kids' kids, and I want to start a new generation. And there's just so much there. And I hope that one day the Watterson family would be willing to offer it up to where someone could do it properly and do it justice. But I would love to see Calvin and Hobbes come to life. That would be the ultimate goal and ultimate dream, is to see that happen.
Hey, so much revenue is thrown into these IPs now, man. And everybody has a price. That's all I'll say when it comes to that. And I hope that happens as well, man. I really do. So, what profession would you not like to do?
Anything to where I have to be behind a desk 9 to 5. I just get bored. I get so bored. And it's not that I'm so creative or something like that. It's just I get bored, like sitting still and answering phones and doing paperwork and whatnot. It's not for me. Anything I get to be creative in, I would do. I think that maybe like any type of pencil pushing job. I mean, and what's funny is like I didn't get the joke until I was an adult. But like Timmy Turner's dad, it was a pencil pusher, and like they made a joke that like he actually pushed pencils from one side to another. Like, oh, what the hell? It's like, oh no, I totally get it. And like that was the cool part. Like as long as I don't have to do that for a living, if this one day ends and I don't get to do this for a living forever, as long as I'm still being creative, I'd be happy. But if I have to basically sit behind a desk and just punch down stuff, I'd go insane. I would gladly go insane.
You'd be Super Saiyan Cole after that. My final question for you today, Mr. Thompson. If heaven exists, what would you like to hear God say to you when you arrive at the pearly gates?
What would I like for God to say to me when I arrive at the pearly gates? I want to make a joke. I'd want him to make some type
sure God has a sense of humor.
Just some type of joke. Okay. You know what I will say? So here, I got a counter question for you.
You got it.
Who is your God's voice?
That's a good question.
Who is your God? Because I got one that nobody, if God sounds like this, I will die happy.
I would go with, how about a Rip Thorn? You know Rip Thorn?
I loved Rip Thorn. God R.I.P. to Rip.
Yeah, from Larry Sanders, Dodgeball, all that. I think he plays a good God's voice.
So I think that mine's Sam Elliott. Mine is Sam Elliott. Mine's Sam Elliott. It's Sam
the mustache
Elliott,
and everything.
Yes. So honestly,
Honestly,
okay. So here would be like the best, I think, have an intro for me of all time. You know, like the Dodge commercial, like that. It's like, have you ever wondered if heaven is real? Well, welcome to reality, motherfucker. Like that would be like, hell yes. And then you just start riding the stairway to heaven. Like that would be probably the first thing I want to say. Have you ever thought heaven was real? Like, oh shit, yes. Like that would be the best way, I think, for me to be able to get brought in. Or I knew you farted when I made you. And then just right after that, like, yeah, something like that. Like something really random. I think that'd be freaking hysterical.
I feel if Scotch can talk, they'd have the voice of Sam Elliott.
Yeah, honestly, yeah. I mean that
the Johnny Walker symbol talks. It's Sam Elliott's voice.
That or it's Jim Beam. Like Jim Beam was made out of like Sam Elliott was made. He doesn't have blood flowing through him. He has Jim Beam double-aged whiskey as his blood, and that's why he has such a refined, smooth voice like that. Yeah, that'd be it for me.
Oh yes, refined, smooth voice. Well, Cole Thompson, you can catch him on Just Saying It. Go to sportsmapradio.com. Check him out from 3 a.m. to 5 a.m. Monday through Friday, or check out the podcast there as well. Check out his work regarding covering the NFL and college football for Sports Illustrated. Cole Thompson, first of all, if you could tell us where we could find you on social media, and is there anything else that I'm missing, or anything else you want to say?
Be kind to others. Just make sure that you live every day as happy as you can, and don't go to bed mad at anybody. I can tell you that right now. It's one of the best feelings is when, even if you're in a fight with somebody, you give them a kiss goodnight and say, I love you, or something like that. So I always say that. Cole _ Thompson, if you want to follow me on Instagram, and at Mr. Cole Thompson. I am Cole Thompson. That's my name. Don't wear it out on Twitter.
Oh man, you never cease to amaze me, Cole. Thank you so much for the time. Let's do this more often. And I appreciate you so much, man. Thank you so much for being you. And I love you, bro.
I love you too, buddy. I'll come up and visit you as soon as I get an opportunity to.
Hey, man, I'll come to visit you as well. I've never been to Texas before. I've never been to Texas.
Well, if you're going to play in Texas, you got to have a fiddle in the band. So I need the fiddler. Go ahead and learn how to play it, and then we can come on down.
You know it, man. I will start right away. That's the great Cole Thompson, everybody. We'll see you soon.